Good morning, 5th grade. Today we are going to continue reading in our text, Women at War. We have a focus question, a quick write for you today. It says, what role do women play in war today? How might their role today be different from their role 100 years ago? So do your best, press pause to write down your answer. It's just a guess. We just want you to write down what you think, so by the end you can see how much you've learned. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the focus question. It says, what is the main idea of the text? All right, and we have 3 vocabulary words today. The first one is prohibit, and that is to keep someone from doing something. Like if something is prohibited, that means it's against the law. So we have this no sign as an example of prohibit. The next one is generation, and that is people born or living at the same time. And so we have 3 different generations in this picture: the grandmother, the daughter, and her daughter, and then the youngest daughter. And then the last one is sanitary. Those are like clean conditions, is what we would say. And we have a picture of a sanitary bathroom. Turn the page. When we have a nonfiction text, our strategy that we use is to ask a how or why question about the title, and that's going to help us find the main idea. So we could say, why did women go to war? But we know that they would want to support the effort. So I think a better question here is how. And we could write down in the first part of box 1, how did women participate in the Civil War? Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready to read. And again, we're going to underline the answer to our how or why question. How did women participate in war? And that is going to help us determine the main idea. So I'm in the 1860s. In the 1860s, around the globe, laws and customs prohibited women from taking part in war. But in the U.S., there was a different attitude. For generations, women had supported their men in wars against the British, Mexicans, and Native Americans. When the men went off to battle, the women stayed behind to look after farms, businesses, and communities. Though their numbers were small, women played a role in Union and Confederate government departments. While most Army nurses were men, women were allowed to serve as hospital volunteers. In the North, many women belonged to the Sanitary Commission. This was an organization that traveled to the field with supplies for soldier relief. If I go back in that paragraph, I know that women played a small role in the war, and they were allowed to serve as hospital volunteers. So I'm going to go to my main idea and write, women were allowed to serve as hospital volunteers during the Civil War. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the second box. We are looking for the picture and caption labeled Confederate Angel. And so we know that Confederate is someone who was working with the South. So let's get ready to read. Phoebe Pemmer is known for her selfless work in Confederate Army hospitals in Virginia. After the war, she published a journal of her hospital experiences. It criticized the Southern government's administration of its hospitals. And so we want to know, what's the author telling us about Phoebe Pemmer? And we would write down in 2A, Phoebe Pemmer worked in Confederate hospitals and wrote a journal about her experiences. And in 2B, it says the author is describing why Phoebe Pemmer was well known. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for box 3. It says hospital nursing. So we're looking for the picture and caption that says hospital nursing. And it's at the top of page 21. Let's read. Northern female nursing volunteers were eventually organized by medical reformer Dorothea Dix. However, they were not allowed to serve near the front lines. Like the volunteers shown here, female nurses were confined to supervise service in hospitals. And so we want to know what the author is trying to communicate to us. And we would say volunteer nurses were not allowed to serve on the front line. Instead, they could only help soldiers in the hospital. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for 3B. And we are thinking, why would the author include this picture and caption when talking about women participating in the war? And we know that the author is explaining how the role of nurses during wartime was different during the Civil War than it is today. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for number 4. We're looking for the picture and caption that says tall tale. It's at the top of page 21. Loretta Velasquez was a Southerner of Cuban-American descent. She claimed to have served in the Confederate Army as Lieutenant Harry Buford, so she could be near her soldier husband. She also claimed to have worked as a spy. Most veterans found Madame Velasquez's claims outrageous, yet the memoir she wrote after the war, titled The Woman in Battle, sold well. All right, so we want to know what the author is saying, and we would say that in box 4A, Loretta Velasquez claimed to fight in the Civil War as a lieutenant in the Confederate Army, even though many people did not believe her. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for 4B. And we want to know, why would the author include this information in the section about women at war? And we would write that the author is describing how women made unusual accomplishments during the Civil War. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the paragraph. It says, what role did women play in the Civil War? And you can use box 1, your main idea, as your topic sentence, and then the other boxes as details to support your answer. Make sure you have a quote from the text.